At the start of the movie, Dusty is in his car, munching on a burger and listening to some 80s rock. Despite being 50 years old, he is carefree and doesn't have a full-time job. This habit has caused Dusty to lose all his friends, but he could care less about it. Soon, a bunch of millennials catch him in the act and take videos of him. Dusty is obviously uncomfortable, but due to his super awkward nature, he can't say a word to them. After a while, his niece Chloe joins him in his car, and the two proceed to a movie theater. It turns out that they have been watching movies together since Chloe was young, and this tradition is being continued even today. The two appear to be close, but with the contrasting differences in age and habits, it's clear that Chloe is a bit weirded out by her uncle. This becomes even more evident when Dusty plays an old song, which she calls boring. On reaching a theater called Cinethrax, the uncle-niece duo starts debating on what movie to watch. Dusty wants to go with a vintage 80s movie, which he has already seen 10 times, but Chloe wants to watch a Cinethrax exclusive 3D movie called Chosen. And eventually, the stubborn niece gets her way. They then head to the ticket line, where a lot of millennials are clicking selfies and texting. As expected, Uncle Dusty is disgusted by the sight, and to make matters worse, he doesn't even have the money to purchase the movie tickets. Hence, Chloe reluctantly gives some cash. Strangely, all the Cinethrax employees, including the ticket seller and the bouncers, have a weird and gloomy look on their faces. Before entering the main theater, Uncle Dusty chucks his 3D glasses into the bin and brings out his own bulky glasses, which he calls shifters. Apparently, he hates 3D movies so much that he has brought these shifters to flatline them into normal 2D movies. He has even brought a pair for his niece, but as expected, Chloe doesn't want to wear it. After this, Dusty heads to the canteen to buy some popcorn. There, some millennials gang up on him and inquire if he has accidentally ended up in the 3D section. Dusty simply says that he is a movie freak and leaves. When he enters the main theater, he finds the manager of Cinethrax, a good-looking guy named Zach, flirting with Chloe. However, as soon as Dusty approaches them, Zach makes an excuse and leaves. However, at the same time, two of Chloe's friends arrive and sit next to her. It turns out that this was her plan all along. The movie time with her uncle was just an excuse to get out of the house. Dusty is annoyed that Chloe is not spending time with him, and also because her friends have taken up his seat. He tries convincing her to sit with him, but Chloe doesn't want to. She has started seeing her uncle as a boring person who will embarrass her in front of her friends every chance he gets. Hearing this, Dusty becomes sad, but still, he decides to sit right behind Chloe's seat. Soon, Zach gets on stage and announces that the movie is about to begin. He lays out the rules that no one is allowed to use their phones and that everyone has to put their Cinethrax 3D glasses on. The millennials are pumped up with the announcement and they start cheering in excitement. Then, the movie, Chosen, finally begins. It is a love story, with some pretty weird acting and storyline, but nonetheless, because of the ultra-realistic 3D action, the millennials are loving it. They scream and cheer at literally every dialogue. However, Uncle Dusty, who is not wearing any glasses, is left disappointed with the movie. He can't wait to go home already. Shortly after, he remembers his shifter glasses and decides to put them on. However, because they flatline the 3D into a boring 2D version, Dusty is still not intrigued. So, he decides to annoy the other people around. He sees one of Chloe's friends texting and reminds her that using phone is not allowed in the theater. In fact, he causes a minor ruckus. At last, when Dusty still refuses to back down, Chloe tells her friend to stop using the phone so that they can watch the movie in peace. Dusty believes that he has won, completely oblivious that he is embarrassing his niece in front of her cool friends. As the movie goes on, Dusty gets more and more bored. In one scene, he notices something very unusual, as if the screen is faulty. However, when he takes off his shifter glasses, there is nothing. Confused, Dusty wants to try on the Cinethrax glasses to see what the real movie experience is like. He asks Chloe to lend her glasses for a while, but by this time, she is fed up with her uncle's childish behavior. She bluntly berates him for embarrassing her in front of her friends and requests him to act normally. Left with no options, Uncle Dusty puts on his shifter glasses back on and continues watching the movie. Suddenly, he notices a giant worm-like creature peering through the screen. In the theater, all the millennials remain oblivious to the worm's presence except for Dusty, who can see it clearly. Terrified, he quickly removes his glasses, and the worm disappears. Despite waiting for a few minutes, the worm doesn't reappear. Dusty suspects his 2D glasses are the key and puts them back on. As soon as he does, the giant worm attacks him with its suckers, causing chaos in the theater. Dusty screams, dropping his popcorn on Chloe and her friends. Enraged millennials start calling Dusty names, but he insists something unusual is happening. Trying to explain to Chloe proves futile, as she is embarrassed and expresses regret for bringing him. Cinethrax manager Zach intervenes, taking Dusty away, much to the delight of the other millennials. Worried, Chloe follows them outside. Outside, Dusty explains that something came out of the screen, but Zach dismisses it as a mistake, attributing it to the ultra-realistic action. Despite wanting a refund, Chloe refuses to leave, scolding her uncle for seeking attention. She heads back inside, leaving Dusty alone and perplexed by the bizarre events. Dusty tries going after her, but Zach stops him, saying he is not allowed to go in there anymore. Left with no choice, a devastated Uncle Dusty decides to wait for Chloe till the movie ends, but since he cannot wait in the main hall, Zach takes him to the projection room. There, Zach and his employees start talking about how Cinethrax will take over the world because of its super realistic cinematics and visuals. The age of old 2D movies is gone, and now 3D has taken over. They also ask Dusty to give it a try, and if he still doesn't like it, they will refund his money. Zach then hands Dusty a pair of Cinethrax glasses, but after a long thought, the latter rejects it. Because of this, the Cinethrax employees become enraged and suddenly turn into possessed zombie-like beings. They then attack Dusty and almost succeed in driving him into a sharp object, but somehow the uncle manages to escape from their clutches. He simply took a rotten burger out of his pocket and shoved it into the possessed zombies. Dusty then runs to the main hall and tries finding a way out of the building. However, it is impossible as all the Cinethrax employees have turned into zombies and are on the lookout for him. So Dusty sneaks inside the storeroom and braces himself to do one thing which he hates the most: texting. He sends several messages to Chloe where he apologizes for being a jerk and also admits that he is scared of losing her. Then he proceeds to warn her of the impending danger, but before he can do so, Zach and the others break in through the door and take him away. Meanwhile, Chloe has started feeling bad for scolding her uncle earlier. She waits for his next message, but it doesn't come. Hence, when she finds his shifter glasses lying on the floor, she picks it up and tries it on. She notices a giant tentacled creature, which has now taken over the entire screen. The creature is also sucking the life out of all the other millennials, meaning that Chloe is the only uninfected human left in the theater. Terrified, she takes off her glasses and tries running, but all the infected millennials start following her. A major struggle ensues, and it appears as if all hope is lost. But fortunately, with the help of a prop sword, Chloe manages to swat the hundreds of infected millennials before entering the projection room. There, she notices her uncle bound and tied to a chair, and finally realizes that he was telling the truth. However, before she could help him, Zach and the others arrive and apprehend her. Following this, Zach reveals the main creature behind all this mayhem. It turns out to be an alien, which has traveled from another galaxy to extend its species. Zach says that since he no longer experiences pain or anxiety, being infected was the best thing that could have happened to him. The alien merely wishes to assist the uncle and niece in escaping their boring and miserable existence, so he also exhorts them to welcome the change. After telling Dusty this, he forcibly puts on a pair of Cinethrax 3D glasses and forces him to watch the film. It seems that this will make him one of them. Thankfully, Chloe steps in just in time to stab the alien with a shattered glass fragment. This gives the afflicted zombies a brief period of stunned, enabling Chloe to free her uncle from captivity. Sadly, just as they are ready to flee, Zach lets loose a tentacle from his mouth, grabbing Chloe and taking control of her. Her face soon begins to twist, suggesting that the alien has already made its way inside her body. Uncle Dusty suddenly takes an axe and chops off Zach's head like a hero from the 1980s, but the damage has already been done. When Dusty opens the exit door after the two have arrived, he discovers that a massive alien has destroyed much of the city. It is at this point that he finally acknowledges that aliens have taken over the planet. Chloe modifies her attitude at the same moment. She advises her uncle to accept that nothing can be done about it and to welcome the change. She continues by saying that Zach was correct. This life is devoid of suffering or worry. Before long, he is joined by the other millennials and the Cinethrax staff, who begin convincing him to embrace the shift. To help Dusty change his mind, they even sing a song. Dusty eventually gives in and begins singing the song, realizing there is no hope left. When the final scene ends, everyone returns to the theater to watch the same film. Now fully possessed, Chloe gives her uncle a pair of Cinethrax glasses so he can accept the transformation and join them. The movie ends as Dusty anxiously waits for the alien to arrive and possess him.